Today on the channel, we're going to take a look at Guitar World from February 1990. Here's the Guitar World from February 1990. This was a great issue. Right out of the gate, I mean, what a great cover. It's got Eddie here with his Tiesco del Rey, his Frankenstein. Not sure what that thing is there. But look at this. This is excellent song lineup for transcriptions. We got Beat It, Texas Flood by Stevie Ray, White Snake, Still the Night. And if the cover didn't make you buy this thing back then, these transcriptions would. So, all right, so exclusive interview, Edward Van Halen, Player of the Decade, Best of the 1980s. So let's dig in, take a look at it. Okay, so right out of the gate, we got some Shrapnel Records advertised. We've got a bunch of cool stuff. Marty Friedman, Tony McAlpine, Greg Howe, Vinnie Moore. Any of you guys ever buy any of these Shrapnel cassettes? I think these things were on vinyl too. If we read closer, it probably would tell us. LPs or cassettes, $13.75 each. 30 for 4. $30 would give you 4 LPs or cassettes, or $8.75 each. I would most definitely. I wish I'd have bought all those LPs. That'd be so cool to have now. All right, Buddy Guy, supporting the Ernie Ball strings. Check out that single cut he's playing. Wonder what the heck that thing is. Okay. Angus, classic photo of Angus and SG. One other cool thing about this issue, I always want to say episode like it's a movie. This issue is Tom Schultz. Got an article on him in there. Passion and Warfare was coming out, and they were releasing these teasers of the Steve Vai Passion and Warfare. So every issue you got a different page for the poster. Check out Testament there. Dude's holding the Morley pedal. That lady's putting her foot on it. All right, so when you close the garage door and head for the stage door, KMD. Look at this guy. Let me get a close up of this dude. I hope he didn't wear that shirt on stage. That is not a flattering shirt. What's on his... I thought he was wearing a pair of readers or something around his neck. He's driving mom's Astro van, or his wife's Caravan or something, loaded up with the KMD products. Wonder how his gig went. All right, cool picture here. Look at this. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit here. Got the editor-in-chief and the associate publisher. What a life, man. Those guys got to hang with Eddie frequently. They did so many interviews with him. It was cool. Eddie looking happy. Washburn Acoustics. Once again, the sounding board. Let's just check out one of these sounding board letters. Let's just see. I'll pick a short one here. We'll go with Ludwig here. Ludwig Van Satch. What a name. I have listened to guitarists for over 6 years, but after playing the Guitar World Flexi disc of Mystic Potato Head Groove thing on my 100-watt sound system, I saw the lights move in more directions than I thought was possible. He's a true musician. This is what I call the Beethoven style of the 80s, and there are only 3 guitarists I include in that category: Satriani, Guy Man Dude, and Yngwie. Guy Man Dude. I need to look up that guy. I remember hearing about him. I never checked out Guy Man Dude. Anybody ever check out Guy Man Dude? We need to Google that guy and see what he's up to. He's probably, knowing my lack of knowledge, he's probably doing amazing. These Yamaha guitars look pretty cool. I mean, they got the Pacifica there. in the Les Paul copy. Tune-ups. Elliot Easton looking like a mad scientist. Jake E. Lee looking kind of like Stifler's mom in that picture, but that's okay. There's George Lynch chewing on his guitar. Don't know why he's doing that. Yngwie, of course, nothing ever changes. Snakeskin boots, yellow Strat. Playing through a pig nose. Yeah, I'm so sure he plays through a pig nose. And unbearded Zach. The glory years. Oh, I see what this is. This is these people picking their favorite players. Billy Sheehan chiming in. King's X, Gretchen goes to Nebraska. Princess Pang, Masters of Reality, Tesla, The Great Radio Controversy. Living Colored Vivid. 5 best places to chase women. I bet you'd be proud of that today. Hollywood, the Sunset Strip, North Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Savannah, Georgia. Now that guy lives in Franklin, Tennessee, about 30 miles south of me, and posts videos of his cats and his dinner he's making each night. So nothing against Billy. Billy is a cool cat. Got a few stories about Billy where I've met him and seen him out and about. And he's a great guy. Look at Gene. 5 reasons for being in KISS. The fans, the music, the fame, the cash. The I told you so syndrome, where grown-up Gene Simmons goes through the rest of his life smiling after all the people who didn't believe KISS would happen ask for free tickets to the show. Yeah, that sounds like Gene. No disrespect. That sounds like Gene. Let's see what Satch put here. Prince, number 1, in no order of preference. Okay. Sign of the Times, Metallica, Master of Puppets, Steve Vai, Flexible, and the entire Steve Vai catalog. Yngwie Malmsteen, Rising Force, Alan Holdsworth, Metal Fatigue, Van Halen, 1984, and the entire 80s catalog. U2, The Unforgettable Fire, Rolling Stones, Tattoo You, Ozzy, Diary of a Madman, GNR, Appetite, AC/DC, Back in Black, ZZ Top, Eliminator, Ry Cooder, Get Rhythm, Michael Hedges, Aerial Boundaries, Aerosmith, Pump, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble, Texas Flood, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, The Police, Synchronicity, King Crimson, Discipline, Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, Steve Morse, High Tension Wires. Best coiffed guitar players of the 80s. Vernon Reid, Steve Stevens, Prince. Year after year, he's got a new hairdo and always looks great. Jake E. Lee and Ron Yoakum, the Sea Hags. Okay, don't know who that is. One more, Paul Gilbert, Loudness, Accept, Yngwie, Van Halen, Fair Warning, Streets, Road Food Cassettes, King's X, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, Todd Rundgren, Trevor Rabin, Tears for Fears, The Seeds of Love, Swing Out Sister, It's Better to Travel. Yep, Paul, always the eclectic one. Totally dig Paul. Oh, let's see what Steve had to say here. 5 good reasons not to practice. There is no good reason. And then Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien, Joe Satriani, Flying a Blue Dream, Alan Holdsworth, Metal Fatigue, Michael Hedges, Live on a Double Planet, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, Couldn't Stand the Weather. There's Steve rocking that 7-string Universe. Everybody back then was like, what? 7-string? What the heck is that? Then Korn adopted it a couple of years later and obliterated everybody's face with it. Pretty cool. Michael Faith and the PV VTM 60. I'm not only going to pass on that PV, I'm going to pass on those boots. Not really feeling the boots either. Our Generation, Vernon Reid, casts a critical eye on rock in the 80s, assessing the trends, techniques, and eventful decade. Cool. Vernon's a cool dude. All right, or is, I should say. Lord of the Strings. Clip lock. Bolts fast. You know, all these years I've seen that ad. I never really realized what that was for. That's those DiMarzio straps that clip in. Okay, not a great ad. Choose any 12 cassettes or 8 CDs for $1. The reason why so many bands sold 42 million copies in the 80s. Yeah, cool. Stevie Ray, Jeff Beck. Guitar Shop. I had that on cassette. Instep, I've got that on CD. There's old Billy. Billy always had to get in these magazines. He always has like awesome food in front of him, man. Billy's always chilling someplace swanky. He's got some vintage car stuff going on, some tasty food, and probably a super awesome classic vintage guitar in there. Only thing missing in that picture, he's usually got about 2 or 3 women surrounding him, so I guess they couldn't make the photo shoot. All right, the Down Boys, these warrant dudes promoting Carvin. Rocking the Richie Sambora t-shirt and hat collection. Cool. And the Canadian tuxedo top there. Once again, we see an appearance of the boots, man. This was 1990. In about 6 months, these boots would never be seen again on rockers in that genre. So, all right. So we got the art ad, the arts. This was soon to become extinct also. They were hanging on. There's a nice picture of Angus from 80. The SG. Let's see, Angus says, I don't regard myself as a soloist. It's a color I put in for excitement. It's not a great loss if a solo has to go. Huh. Cool. Much respect. Okay, Randy. There's a photo we've seen many times before. He's playing a Black Beauty. 1981 custom Jackson with 2 humbuckers is his guitars and a white Les Paul. And then they show him playing a black Les Paul custom. All right, so he says up here, when I started liking rock, Elvis Presley was my only idol. I was 7 and too young to know anything about lead guitar. To this day, I don't have a guitar idol. That was in May 1982. Guitar World. All right, here's the King playing Frankie before it really got spanked, man. Look at this. I'm assuming that's the original Frankie. Anyways, Brown, it's just a warm sound. Warm, big, and majestic. That was from 85. Guitars, 1975 Lynn Ellsworth ash body with a PAF pickup from a 61 Gibson 335, homemade black pickguard. Brass nut from a circa 61 Strat, Floyd Rose trem, Kramer neck, and Shaler tuners. So there's the secret sauce, everybody. 60s 100-watt plexi, 1959 model Marshall, MXR flanger, MXR Phase 90, and Echoplex. A 61 Gibson 335 PAF. Yep. Oh man, look at this Kramer. I know what this is. This is that Gorky Park thing. This guitar might have single-handedly ruined Gorky Park's career. They should reunite, do some kind of a Ukraine benefit. There's the Edge. Started to wear the hat because I think he was going bald. Nothing wrong with that, but I dig the Edge, man. He's cool. SRV and his killer Strat there. See, the Edge says, I'm interested in abusing technology. That was from 87. And then SRV says, we're not taking credit for the music of Muddy and the cats who started it all were trying to give it back. That was from Guitar World 85. These are great quotes, man. These are great quotes. Okay, here we go. Yngwie. I don't know how he plays with all that jewelry, man. I can barely play with a ring. Even though I'm drawing from classical music, I'm not playing classical. I'm not playing a classical instrument, and I'm not really playing what classical musicians play. That's true. Cool. 86. Steve on this Harley. Something just doesn't look right with Steve Vai on a Harley, man. He just doesn't. He should be on. I don't know. I picture him in like a Ferrari or something. But anyway, I believe that every single thing that has happened to me has been perfect in its own right. Steve Vai from Guitar World 88. Yeah, I can understand why he would feel that way. Steve Vai, when he was in Louisville many years ago, he was riding his Harley around Louisville. I was worried he was going to wreck and I wouldn't see the show. I wasn't even concerned he had hurt himself. I was like, oh, don't wreck your bike, man. The show will get canceled. Joe Satriani, I knew that I wanted to write something that was completely different, so I tried all kinds of things. I would meditate, stare at the TV, go out and see strange movies, run a couple miles, read strange books, drink lots of coffee, not drink any coffee, whatever would set me off. December of 87. His routine sounds just like mine. Old Satch with a hair. I miss those days. I like Alien Satch, though. Here's the guys, man. James and Kirk. Metallica's why I came. I don't even know if I'm going back in Metallica. What? What is this? Metallica is why I came. I don't even know if I'm going to go back in. Metallica kicked ass. They don't have copped out attitudes. Their music is so perfect, and they're not a bunch of a-holes. They master what they do. They're speed metal, and they have melodic things in there too, which you don't see with a lot of speed metal bands. Usually it's just straight out thrash. There's nobody to compare to Kirk and James. That was a fan exiting Monsters of Rock. Yep. Yeah, it was the start of the legendary Metallica, really. I mean, they started way before that, but that was this year. This is when Metallica became gods of metal. And there's the boys in 89, Izzy Stradlin and Slash. So we sold a lot of records. Big deal. It's not going to change the way we live or the way we try to make our music. $400 million later, I disagree. But they were a great duo. Awesome, awesome. Here it is, Monster of Rock. The guy couldn't help it. He did what came naturally, and look what happened. He's Edward Van Halen, Player of the Decade. Look at this. Eddie Van Halen takes in the barren and dusty confines of what used to be 5150, his beloved recording studio clubhouse, where most men find rest and rumination in neighborhood bars. Eddie has for years sought not-so-quiet refuge in this, his hangout joint, to end all hangout joints. Here he stays up late, pours back some buds with his buds, and plays his vids. Here, too, he cranks it to hell and back, capturing bits of genius to 2-inch tape. But at the moment, he couldn't nail a solo banjo track in here, let alone the monster sonic booms that are part and parcel of the VH recordings. 5150 is being remodeled and everything's been stripped back, sawed off, gutted, amp effects, consoles, you name it. They're out of here. Construction will surely take sounds like they're getting ready to record for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Will take a few months to complete. At the end, which will be like a dream-like resort, will sorry, I can't read that good. Will bear a new look and house. For the first time, a drum room, but the picture perfect Hollywood day. Poor Eddie Van Halen looks like a man without a country. What are you gonna do? He shrugs. That's where we're building the new house. So he built a new house and remodeled his studio. When I started playing, I was like, brr, as fast as I could do it. It was fun. But as you mature, you see there's no point to it. What's that say right there? You can really knock yourself in the head when you fall off that thing at 35. What's he talking about? I don't know. I have to read through that. I got to go through this article. It's got my interest piqued, man. The guys, I haven't looked at this since, I was a sophomore at college, probably. In 1982, Eddie, by now had an established rock star, a term he despises, received a call from producer Quincy Jones. That's where he got the call for the solo for Beat It. To start right in, what is a single thing you're most proud of having accomplished during the past decade? I guess it's that I introduced and came up with a slightly different style, and that a lot of people have picked up on it. Then Guitar World says the song Eruption changed everything practically overnight. And Eddie goes, well, that's kind of what I'm saying, that I changed the way people play the guitar. You see everybody doing it. And they weren't until I did, so it's kind of obvious. It's not like I'm on an ego trip or anything. What's your take on the LA band scene nowadays? How has it changed since you played the clubs? Eddie says, I think in a funny way, Van Halen kind of paved the way for that too. When we were playing the clubs, there was no room for a bunch of long-haired, platform, goofy-looking effers, laughs. It was real hard for us to get into the clubs. It was always, you're too loud, your guitar's too psychedelic, you're too loud. We used to get fired, Look at this. Nowadays, there's a pay-to-play thing happening. And Eddie goes, like at Gazzarri's? I heard about that. You have to pay to play? Then Guitar World goes, bands have to pay something like $1,500 to play. And Eddie goes, I'll tell you, making $75 a night isn't much better. Eddie, Alex and I used to go around and paint house numbers on curbs to make extra money. I think we've all heard that story before, but that's cool. Vester guitars over here. Try not to get distracted. Okay, so let's see. What we got here? I've always said that Clapton was my main influence, but Page was more the way I am in a reckless, abandoned way. Here's an interesting section here, right here where my thumb is. It says, does it bug you that people have focused so much on the two-handed tapping technique that maybe some other aspects of your playing have been overlooked? Eddie says, yeah, whatever I tap or not, I'm still a good player. It's what I'm known for. Guitar World says, do you think your guitar sound has changed any? Believe it or not, I'm using the exact same stuff I always have. I have an old baby Marshall and Kramer's. I've started playing those about 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know. I just turned everything all the way up. I used to use those MXR Phase 90s on all the solos. It's kind of a cool sound. I don't use that much now. I have a rack that looks like a computer, but I don't even know what's on it. The only thing I use is a little bit of delay and a couple of harmonizers. It's not a real tight echo. I don't know how to explain it. Eddie on the record. Here's some things that Eddie said about his records. Very interesting. His first couple sentences on each album. Van Halen 1, Party. That was a lot of fun. We just played the way we played on the stage. Van Halen 2, I remember not liking the studio very much. It was someplace on Wilshire. We wound up doing overdubs at Lion's Share, I think. And then Women and Children First. I remember playing In the Cradle Will Rock for Ted. It was on a Wurlitzer electric piano. I played it through Marshalls. I just pounded on the lower registers and played it through a flanger to get that sound. Ted went, wow. Fair Warning. It's kind of a dark album. I remember that was kind of when I wanted to start doing things my way, and we all kind of butted heads, like me versus them. I remember sneaking down to the studio around 4 in the morning and Don and I doing what we wanted to. And the next day they'd walk in and go, hey, that's great. Diver Down, my least favorite album. It's half cover tunes. I don't think a lot of people even know that half the songs aren't ours. The album pees me off because at the time I had enough music of my own. You know, the Minnie Moog riff that opens Dancing in the Streets. I'd written my own song. Everybody wanted that for dancing. I said, what? So that's what we built. That's when I built my own studio. 84. That's the first record we did at 5150. He did it on a 16. We did it on a 16 track, recorded, mixed, and everything. I thought it was a good record, but it was the beginning of doing things my way. 5150, lots of jokes. Sammy has to be one of the funniest guys on the face of the planet. After putting in maybe an honest 45 minutes work, we were standing around just laughing, doing anything, eating ribs, and then we'll go, should we go in and try one? Nah, we spend so much time doing nothing, it's silly. OU812, that album reflects that Sammy and I are more comfortable with each other. We're neighbors out at the beach now. It was easier, not to say that 5150 was hard, but we were just feeling each other out on that one. Record was more comfortable and relaxed. Yeah, man. And that's where it ended at the time. He was in the middle of doing For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, so that album's not on there. So this is real early, man. Just looking for some notable quotes to point out here. Let me ask you something about your hearing. Right here's where we're at. This is kind of interesting. I mean, wait a minute. Let me ask you something about your hearing. Does a situation like Pete Townshend's give you any pause for concern? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't do any of the and that's stack my cabinets. Even in the old days when we used to have mountains of stuff, I only use the bottom cabinets. Just don't stand in front of the stuff. I just stand in front of them. I can feel my arm hairs move, but not the hairs on my head. Smart. I think everybody sounds the same playing wise too. It's like incest. Nobody's doing anything different. Yeah, it was pretty sterile at the time. It was getting sterile. There's MJ and Ed. Look at this. What's your take on Page these days? He's been getting a bad rap. And Eddie goes, and that's BS. He's a genius. He's a great player, a songwriter, producer. So there you go. Put it this way. He might not be the greatest executor or whatever, but when you hear Page solo, he speaks. I've always said Clapton was my main influence, but Page was actually more the way I am in a reckless, abandoned kind of way. There's Eddie and Sam, 1986. Oh, here, check this out. Is the Variac still a part of your sound? And Ed goes, yep, uh-huh. Now, does that actually change the voltage? Yeah, that's all it does. Then Guitar World says, but you plug the output of the amplifier into the Variac? Eddie, yeah, that's all. It's a light dimmer. I use a studio light dimmer. See, that enables you to play at a lower volume, but you can still get the balls out of the amp. I blew out the house once. when we used to live in this little shack in Pasadena. We had this little light dimmer in the wall, and I thought, wow, I wonder what will happen. So even then, he was using the Variac. Here's the top 50 albums of the 80s. Number 1, 84. Number 2, Surfing with the Alien. Texas Flood by Stevie Ray. Rising Force, Malmsteen. Number 4, 5, Back in Black. It would be hard for me to put Surfing and Rising Force above Back in Black. 6, Blizzard of Oz. 7, U2 War. 8, Eat 'em and Smile. 9, Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain. Danny Gatton, Unfinished Business. Eliminator. Hendrix came in at number 12. Live at the Winterland. Sonic Youth. Metallica, Master of Puppets. Hendrix, Radio 1. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Could Stand the Weather at 16. Wonder who voted on these. Here's some more on the list for you to look at. Flexible was number 34. Basically, if you had a big name, they're just going to put your name on these lists. For a minute there, I thought Vernon Reid was hanging out in his pajamas. I'm not going to lie. Oh, check out this. ESP, man. Dude, if you had one of those guitars now, I bet you're looking at like $4,000 Correct me if I'm wrong. That's George before he started working out, man. George, soon after that, started like really working out and got super muscular. There's Tom in his basketball shorts, his Celtics shirt. A man of style. I love Tom Schultz, though. I dig my Rockman units that I have. Do you think the main source of unreliability is the hardware or the software that controls that hardware? And he says it's both. There's no such thing as bug-free software, and it seems manufacturers usually don't find out about all the bugs in a device until they've stopped production on it. Why do you think companies release what are essentially unfinished, buggy products? Companies design things very quickly and are pressured to get them out the door because they're copied virtually the moment they hit the streets. After you come up with the innovation, there is such a very short amount of time which you can profit on as a company. You could waste years trying to get all the bugs out of something, and that's just not possible. What does Schultz R&D decide to make one particular piece of gear over another? My own interest is in creating new pieces of gear that solve specific problems. Anything that we do is the direct result of me not being able to go out and buy what I need to either make music live or in the studio. That's pretty awesome, man. Pretty cool. From a pure sound standpoint, there's no question I would take a brand new first-class stamping over a CD any day, even though the difference is not that significant. Practically, though, the CD solves so many problems. It gives you so many nice features that it's impossible to argue that it's a great buy. Back in the CD versus cassette generation, remember the days of driving around with CDs just stuck in my car visor, and now everything's just, well, obviously, Spotify, Apple Music. Do you find overemphasis on technique for technique's sake with the current crop of guitarists? Schultz. With most of them, it's just who can play faster and do all the latest licks. But there are those who can do all that and have imagination to do something with it musically, and that's when you really have something. Not digging those hammer fret inlays, man. This guy drove me nuts. This perfect pitch guy. Anybody ever subscribe to this? Anybody do this? I got to find out in the comments. Has anybody ever done this program and did it work? Reb Beach doing a little column here. Heading for a heartbreak. Anybody wants to check out that tab? It's in this issue. Not that interested in that, although that was a pretty cool tune. There's this Hofner ad with the trans trem and the Steinberger pickups. Stu Ham still doing the bass article. The beast of both worlds. We're getting to the end, fellas and ladies. That reminds me of Wayne's World so much. But that is not. Okay, Heritage. Semi-hollow. Oh, that's cool. Learn to burn. I always love looking through these little advertisements in the back, seeing what new products were out. Some of this stuff turned out to be really, really awesome, and some of it was just sort of passing fancy. There's the Rockman, Satriani and the Rockman on Flying in a Blue Dream. You can totally hear that on that song, that album. Rockmans are great. They really are. You can really get such a good tone out of them for recording purposes. Tom really does know what he's doing. Always has. Zion. Ibanez delay pedals. I've never seen these Ibanez pedals. What the heck? Here's some reviews. Voivod. Elvis Hitler. What the hell? Pretty Boy Floyd. Tom Limbaugh Band. Steve Kilbey. The Dragsters. I mean, all this stuff is done. And then the very end, they got like this end of the top 50 albums. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Man, that should have been way up higher. Dave Lindley at 44. Sun Seals, Chicago Fire. The Cult, Sonic Temple. Eric Johnson, Tones. Van Halen, Women and Children First at 48. And Yngwie Malmsteen at Trilogy at 50. Yeah, that list was a little questionable, like all lists. Rivera cabinet, cool. There's Reb Beach from Winger. Road cases, tubes, Robin guitars. Keith Olsen, producer. He uses rock mod. Good. Look at Lita wearing the hat. Once again, everybody rocking these hats, man. That was the thing for a while. Glad that's not happening anymore. Trading licks. All right, and then there's the tabs. Another picture of Eddie. So, really, rest of that. I like how they put the tabs in the back of the guitar magazines instead of in the spread throughout. That was always nice to do that. Got some classified ads in here, the marketplace. Anything funny in here? Not really. Not really. It's funny how you had to be seen in a classified ad like that. Now people can just post it on social media, man. The world has changed. And they actually have an advertiser index if you want to look at a specific brand. That's kind of cool. You can check it out. Class of 89, most likely to succeed. We're going to end it with this. Paul Gilbert. Jamie Glazer. No idea. Jason Becker. Jason. Atomic Tommy McClendon in the middle. Vito Bratta. Marty Friedman. Kirk Hammett. I think he was the clear winner. And then, obviously Marty and Paul. And then poor Jason. All right, there you have it. Guitar World, February 1990. Edward Van Halen, Player of the Decade.